Today on All Out Brick, we're going to be building the Bionicle combination set Takutanuva. We're going to build it, review it, and give it a score. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Christian from All Out Brick. Welcome to another Matanui Monday. As always, the best way to tag along with us every week is to subscribe and turn on notifications. This week, we're going to be building Takutanuva, which is a combination model from the 2003 Titan sets of Bionicle. Takutanuva is not the only combination model, there's also the Makuta-Nui. Originally, I was going to include the Makuta-Nui and do a 2003 Titan combination model to do both of them, but I considered it a little bit more, and Takutanuva is just such a special and iconic character and model that I figured, you know what, I'm going to give it its own video. Later this week, before next week's Matanui Monday, I will record and release the Makuta-Nui video, the review for it. So this video, we're just going to really focus on Takutanuva. Takutanuva, as we well know, is the combination between Takutanuva, the Toa of Light, and Makuta, the big bad villain from the 2001-2003 Bionicle wave. During their skirmish at the end of Bionicle, the Mask of Light, Takutanuva attacked the Makuta, ripped off his Shadow Kraken mask, and then they fell into a pool of energized protodermis. When they emerged, it was a combination between Makuta and Takutanuva. Of course, this is called Takutanuva, the name of this combination model. After this, the gate to Metra Nui collapsed down on Takutanuva, separating the two, and the Mask of Light was then used to resurrect Takutanuva. There was a separate Takutanuva set released in 2003, so that you didn't just have to buy the Takutanuva set and then the Makuta set to have both. This was released for $50 and nowadays is extremely rare and hard to come by, but it does exist. If you own both the Takutanuva and the Makuta set just like I do in two separate boxes here, what you have to do is just break them down, and the instructions for Takutanuva are included with these sets. So let's go ahead and get started with the build. After 36 minutes, we have the completed Takutanuva build, and it is so awesome. The size is incredible. It feels noticeably larger than the Makuta, and not extremely larger, but definitely noticeably larger. And this is a good thing because, yeah, Makuta did combine with Takutanuva. It should feel a little bit bigger, but there's just certain areas they balance the proportions incredibly well. His arms, like the depth, there's just more depth to this model, especially like the upper torso area. It really just gives it this extra element of, okay, this feels like a bigger model. Like this feels 100% that it would wipe Makuta on the floor if Takutanuva were posed up against a Makuta. Of course, that's not possible in the lore, but if in theory, Takutanuva so much stronger. Just his physical appearance, he just looks more physically dominant, but there's great proportions, great balancing from like the legs to the size of the arms and the size of the torso. There's just excellent job here. I really applaud the designers on this model. My favorite part about Takutanuva is the arm articulation. Hands down, the best we've seen so far. They included this shoulder mobility where his shoulders can tilt forwards and backwards, and they hold in place thanks to some friction on the back of the model, and this allows you to just a little extra element of articulation. The upper arms have their own ball joint as well as the forearm/wrist area. Those have their own mechanism as well, so you really have endless possibilities for posing the arms here. It works essentially exactly like a human arm would work, right? You can move your shoulders, move the upper arm, and move the lower arm. One thing I was afraid of before this build is that it could potentially feel like just the Makuta model and would have just a little bit of upgrades here and there, and the build would be super stale. I was pretty dead wrong on this. The entire build, except for maybe the legs, were entirely new, very fresh, very unique from what Makuta. I never got the sense that I was just building Makuta again, other than the legs. The legs are basically carbon copies, except for the Rockshi capsule that sits on top of the thighs. That's the only piece that's different from the legs from Takutanuva to the Makuta. But Takutanuva does a great job of feeling like its own build, its very own thing. There's some great manipulation here using different parts from each of the two models that are included in the set. And another great thing about Takutanuva is his weapon. This is the best weapon I've seen so far. I don't know how close it is, but man, it just crushes it. It looks like it could just go through anything. And honestly, it gives a little bit of imagination to like the world of Bionicle. Like I look at this and say like, okay, what needs to get taken down by a weapon this large? And yeah, you could say like Muwaka Kanera, the Kumanui, something like that. But what if there's something even bigger? It just really helps fill some imagination in there. And I don't know, does he have a weapon in the movie? I don't think he does. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure he just lifts the gate to Metro Nui up. But if this was like its own original design separate from the movie, such a good job. The weapon moves really well too with the arms. Like when you're posing the arms, there's a little bit of give and take for this one Technic axle on the left hand. And so when you pose the arms, it's not like they're stuck in one position. The weapon can actually slide up through the hand, exactly how I guess it would work in real life if you just had to like adjust your grip. So the fact that they included this is that they were like constantly thinking, okay, what can we do better? What can we do better? And that's just a great sign when you're looking at a Lego set. You don't want it to be like, we'll just do what we did for the last one. No, they looked at this and said like, okay, how can we make it better? Love it. This model's highs are very high. However, its lows are kind of low. Number one, it's really got this pointless play function. It's the exact same as Makuta's play function, which we had problems with that model alone. This time around, it's just even worse. There's more weight above the waist of this model, and turning it, it's also restricted by like the weapon and the length of the arms that you really can't twist Takutanuva back and forth at all, and it's tough to reach to in between these two tubes. So I don't know. I honestly would have been better off if they said like, yeah, it's just not here and you can rotate the legs. But yeah, including this play function was really kind of pointless in my mind because you can really rarely even use it. Another flaw for Takutanuva is his ability to stand up straight. There's really only one or two kind of positions that you can lean him into before the back weight of the model or the front weight of the model just tilts him forwards, makes him fall down, or makes him fall back. There's just not a lot of options here. It's unfortunate. It's obviously caused by the amount of weight that's in the top of the model. It's a trade-off. You get some bigger, thicker shoulders and some more depth in the upper back, but it is much less stable. So you can kind of pick and choose. Like if you're looking to play with this model, you're not going to get a whole lot of use out of it. But if you're looking to just display it, yeah, I mean, it looks fantastic. The one thing that does throw me off with the display is the black mask. I know there's not a whole lot of options here. It was either use the gold mask from Takutanuva, the glitter mask from Takutanuva, or the black mask from the Makuta set. And I think they made the right choice out of those three, but it still feels a little off. Now, the Takutanuva set that LEGO released in 2003, that did have a separate mask. It was called like the movie edition mask. This didn't look a whole lot like the movie mask. Obviously, the movie mask is like half the Mask of Shadows and half the Mask of Light. It's a really, really cool look. And if it was actual like mold piece, yeah, I would probably go out of my way and buy that. But it's really not that different. It kind of just looks a lot like the Mask of Shadows. So I guess they were satisfied with it. I don't know. That's a bit of like, it throws me off because the rest of him, it's tough to see it as like this friendly model. Now, it is slightly friendly. It's like a good balance between light and shadows, but it doesn't really rub me off. Like you see the black mask and you're like, yeah, I think that might be a foe. It doesn't really strike me as, or maybe they could have put like some gold armor from Takutanuva in different places. So there's just something that could have been done here to make him look more of a friendly model than still is like an enemy Mega Makuta model, if that makes sense. Overall, pretty cool combination model. Not the best we've seen, not the worst we've seen. Pretty good. This is obviously reviewed as like a combination as its own set. So it's a little bit like more criticized, I guess you could say, because there's not like the base models that we take into account too. We're just looking at Takutanuva, but it's still pretty good. There's some things that are wrong with it that, you know, you just can't really bounce back from. I think the cons for this model, if you look through and like listed them out, normally that would really have a bad impact on the score. But for Takutanuva, his look is just really overpowering that it does make up for some of those cons, because as a display, he's one of the best right here. I mean, just like I said before, that weapon, like what's he taking on with that thing? I would love to see what the heck it's used for other than maybe like a big Titan battle. In terms of price, it really depends on how you're going to go about getting this model, how you want to do it. Of course, if you're going to go the route of just buying the Makuta set and then the Takutanuva set, it's just the price of those two combined. So I think it's around like $110 for both of those combined. That's what you're going to spend if you do it that way. If you're going to go the route of that Takutanuva like special edition with the movie mask version, yeah, very expensive choice. So used, that is around $175. brand new, yeah, you're really not going to find many of them at all. If you do, I would expect you're going to pay around like $400 at the bare minimum, probably over $500 for it. It's just, you rarely see this thing listed. There might be like one or two on Bricklink right now and maybe one on eBay. They're just super hard to find because it was a rare exclusive. So there's not a whole like super accurate price for it. But I can tell you for sure it's probably like $400, if not $500 plus. So just if you're trying to get this model, just get the Takutanuva set and then the Makuta set. There's no reason to buy just for this movie mask, which you can just buy separately anyways. It's not like it's a $70 mask or anything, I hope. As for a score, I kind of struggled to pinpoint where I felt on Takutanuva. I think the looks are so great, but the cons, if you look at the cons, that would drag a model way down. So what I ended up going with for Takutanuva is a 7.8. It's a pretty good model. Nothing great. It's not the best combination. It's not the worst. And it is kind of different to judge this because it is its own like separate combination model that we're doing a review for. It's not like there's base models attached to it. But those play functions, you just really can't use them at all. As a display model, it's awesome. But as a play model, it's really probably pretty bad, to be quite honest. So kind of that middle ground, 7.8. That's your review. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to be the first to see all of our future content. Also, be sure to check us out on our website and on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Until next time, stay bricking.